Bull or bear? Let's see what it is for tomorrow. Up, and she comes up a bear. Well, that's the way it was last night. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Good evening, folks. What's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Got the live Key West Sloppy Joe cam up here. And as you know, I kind of use this video here, South Florida video. It's been around for a long time. Great camera, lots of tourists. It's also spring break, as you can tell. Lots of young folks out there having a good time. And, just for a point of interest, my shop is literally probably 1 mile away from the world famous Fort Lauderdale Strip. For some of you folks in that certain generation that remember the Fort Lauderdale Strip, very popular in the springtime here down in South Florida. I remember cruising it myself as a kid in the 70s and 80s, kind of dating myself a little bit, but some of you even earlier. I think actually there was a movie film down there, Where the Boys Are, at the, what was the name of the bar down there? Meanwhile, all right, I'm getting into movies and kind of local history. Looks like a lovely evening out there, a little bit rainy, and not here though. We haven't had any rain here for the last week or two. Might get some this week. All right, well, this is not a weather report or a tourism. Hey, it is. I do like to show the live cams, though. I always like to start with the live cams, whether it's a fish cam or a people cam or an eagle cam, whatever it may be. It's just kind of show you the flavor of South Florida, which is shorts, a beer in your hand, enjoying yourself with your friends on a beautiful evening. That's what South Florida really is about. Well, all right, let's get into the quote of the day, which is, I do not trust words, I even question actions, but I never doubt patterns. I don't know who said that. It says Lifehack.io, so credit to them for using their meme quote right here. But this kind of struck me because it's absolutely true. You know, in life, whether it's business, whatever it may be, business, personal relationships, it's hard to trust words, and you have many reasons. If you're old enough adult, you have many reasons why you may not always trust words. I mean, shit, politically, economically, I can completely understand why you wouldn't trust words. Coming from the media, I can understand why you would not trust words, and you can even question the actions sometimes. I mean. But we can jump down that rabbit hole about questioning people's actions. You know exactly what this means in the quote. But never doubt patterns. I think, and this is a very powerful little statement here, because patterns over a period of time I would say would indicate general behavior of someone. And again, this comes into trust. If the pattern is generally not good, okay, I wouldn't trust the words nor the actions, even if they were recently good. I mean, you always got to keep that in mind. Never doubt patterns. But what is a pattern? I think that if some people have bad shit happen to them. Sometimes things go wrong, whether it's a government or economic situation, whatever it may be. Media making some stupid news report that was wrong, it happens. Accidents happen. I mean, but patterns. I mean, when you see it repeatedly happen, when you see the media repeatedly lie, when you see political leaders repeatedly lie, when you see economic decision makers repeatedly lie or repeatedly make stupid mistakes, that is what you should be looking at. You should be looking at the patterns, not the actions nor the words of people. You should be looking at their patterns. I thought this was a great quote. Wanted to share it with you. Meanwhile, let's get into spot prices today, kind of sideways, a little bit in that 1900 plus mark, certainly not in the 1908, 1910, 1915 that we saw it yesterday, when we thought the world was going to collapse again and all the banks were going to go bye-bye. But no, there were bailouts. I mean, that's what they do, man. Some people are acting somewhat surprised. Bailouts. That sets a bad precedent. Doesn't bailing out people that were uninsured, that weren't insured for the 250, that took the risk and put their money in that bank? No, folks. Pandora's box has been open. There are no bad precedents to be set when it comes to political and economic decisions anymore. They've already done all the bad. precedents have already happened. All right, 2008 is when the Pandora's box, when the Fed started bailing everyone out. I showed you the charts last night. Meanwhile, let's talk about prices. The crooked Crimex markets. Man, we're just jumping from one crooked complex to another here. The crooked Crimex markets, where the price discovery of gold, silver, and platinum, and obviously palladium is made. Markets just kind of sideways in 1900. I do believe that this banking crisis caught a lot of people. There are insiders, but a lot of people, including the big commercial banks out there, that are collusively involved in screwing around with the price of gold, and especially with the price of silver. We know that for sure on a larger level. Had to back off and look away, and we're surprised that a lot of money got dumped into gold. I mean, I can tell you, folks, as a retailer and a wholesaler in precious metals, all right, I'm not a chart guy, I'm not a paper guy. I can't explain the intricacies of how COMEX markets work and how the swaps work and all this stuff. I mean, I know the basics of it, like many of you folks out there, but I'm a physical precious metals guy, and I can tell you for certain that I'm seeing in the general public that the average Joe worker out there has been buying silver mostly, but gold as well, has been stacking silver and gold for quite some time. I have noticed a larger amount of heavy hitters, people in the larger income brackets buying gold recently, okay? So that is one thing I've noticed for sure, which indicates to me that there is some uneasiness out there about where the economic environment is headed, especially banks. I mean, there's big trouble with banks out there. But meanwhile, crooked Crimex prices dictate that gold is around 1900, silver's around 2168, and platinum's around 983. I think these are bargains, folks. I'm going to go over some of the what the good deals are and what the not good deals are. I'll keep it short, but little surprising information I have on constitutional 90% silver. That you want to kind of listen to here. So fast forward if you get bored with what I'm saying. Maybe you'll get to that point. I don't know how to tell you when I'm going to say that because, hey, I'm not there yet. Anyways, this is where the prices are. Premiums are still pretty damn good across the board on most all products out there. Let's get into a couple articles. GATA.org, who I like a lot. They should be on your bookmark bar if you're a stacker of gold or silver. And again, if you're a stacker of silver, they talk a lot about gold, but if you're a stacker of silver, you need to follow gold, because where gold goes, silver will ultimately follow. Which reminds me, I have not done the ratio. Let's do the ratio real quick here on gold to silver and see what we got going on. And give me 1 second here. Click that little button there, and let's do the math here. Wow, what a busy night out there. 1901.87 divided by 21.68.
It's approximately 87.7246.
All right, so we're close to 88. We're still in that high margin, that high range for the gold to silver ratio at 88 to 1 right now with 2168. But sorry, that's something I wanted to go back to about the ratios. I meant to talk to you about it earlier. I didn't mean to kind of jump around here. But let's get back to this, GATA.org. A couple good articles out here that have been talking about, well, not good articles, but kind of stuff that we've already known. It turns out that treasuries aren't risk-free after all. Really good article by Clint Siegner at Money Metals News Service here. And he talks about the high-profile collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank last week, about bad debt. And I read a little bit about this too. It gets a little bit complicated, but the Silicon Valley Bank, the problem that they had is that they had parked a lot of their money in low-bearing treasuries, okay? They got talked into buying treasuries. I mean, the government, the Fed, everybody was talking, commercial banks and these banks, and I'll get into that in a little bit as well, talking them into buying treasuries. But good article here. I kind of highly recommend you read it. Again, recommended reading, not homework. No one likes homework. I don't either. But at gata.org, you can read it for free. And is this any surprise here as well? Accountants gave SVB, Signature Bank, clean bill of health just before collapse. Folks, I mean, if there's one thing you know, And there's one thing that I know, especially when it's dealing with the silver manipulation and how badly the silver markets are just crooked. And the governing agency that's supposed to look at the silver markets and the COMEX markets is the CFTC. And their oversight committee would be the Agriculture Committee, Congressional Agriculture Committee, and I think the Senate. I'm not sure if the Senate has an Agriculture Committee as well, but and they do nothing, folks. They allow these silver markets, gold markets, and precious metal. I'm sure other commodities as well to be manipulated by these large commercial collusive entities that are not there to hedge. They're there simply to screw people, more or less. All right. Anyways, not going to get into that again. That's a long rabbit hole we've talked about many times. Good articles on gata.org. Moral hazard is a concern as U.S. intervenes to save big banks. I'm sorry, moral hazard went out the window in 2008 when they bailed out everyone, when the Fed bailed out everyone. If you look at the Fed's balance sheet, it was basically, imagine my little pointer down here is a graph. It was like this for years and years and years, kind of mid that range. 2008, boom, 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 boom. There you go, right there. All right. Boom, boom. How do you like that for a description? All right, good stuff on gata.org. Highly recommend that you read it. I got a question, all right? And this is a question I've asked many, many times in my videos in the past. I'm going to take a quick sip here. Pardon me. Why do central banks buy gold, a tier 1 asset? And why do they push commercial banks to buy paper assets, including the small regional banks and the smaller banks? But if you think about it, the Signature Bank here that we saw collapse, where is it right there? I'm sorry, I already forgot the name. Signature Bank, yeah, Signature Bank that collapsed. They collapsed, but they had what was supposedly and seemingly safe investments. They weren't holding toxic mortgages. They weren't holding toxic loans. Although there is some there's word out there that they were holding some toxic loans to bad startups and stuff. I will see how that washes out. But Signature Bank actually took a lot of the money that they had and some of these other banks and they stuck them in treasuries, all right? They thought they were safe. They weren't. And again, it gets into a complicated issue why that was. But who pushed them into treasuries? Well, I'll tell you who. Central banks pushed them into treasuries, commercial banks. Governments pushed them into, the treasury pushed them into paper assets like that, not tier 1 assets like gold. And again, central banks are buying tier 1 assets out there. Why do they push commercial banks to buy paper assets? I just don't get it. And I do get it. I know exactly the reason is because that's their whole gig, is pushing the paper off on everyone else. Meanwhile, they've got gold sitting in their pockets. Well, I'm not sure about the U.S. Federal Reserve. I'm not sure what gold they have in our pockets or how they line their pockets with the Treasury or our gold at Fort Knox. But that's, again, another rabbit hole. But central banks own gold, a tier 1 asset. But they push all their paper shit on the people and the commercial banks out there. And it's kind of like a do as I say, not as I do, because if you think about it, the commercial banks out there, including Signature, imagine if they had bought gold instead of treasuries. They would have been far better off. Gold is kind of kept up, and all they had to do is have a basic understanding of precious metals, and they didn't have to put a lot of it in their portfolio, but how many big banks out there, I wonder, actually have gold in their portfolios? And gold has a track record. It's been around for 5,000 years. What part of that do these educated idiots not get in the central banks and government? That gold is a good thing to hold. Why would they push it off on, well, again, to some degree, starting to believe that central banks want commercial banks to fail, and that maybe governments want commercial banks to fail, so central banks can take over the whole deal, i.e. Central banking, digital currencies, that kind of garbage and stuff like that. But meanwhile, do as I say, not as I do. And they're stacking gold. Meanwhile, they're pawning off their paper assets on everyone. And I'm going to get into a kind of cool conversation that I had with the I think you guys are probably wondering if Brian's getting too comfortable with AI, or it's my only friend right now. But I kind of find it pretty cool to ask this AI program some questions here. And last night I asked a few questions I thought I'd like to share with you, and I thought you might find cool. And my question here is, based on historical data from past performance, has any fiat currency ever increased in buying power over the long term? Question mark. Based on factual data, where does all fiat money ultimately go in buying power? Up or down? Question mark. And you can know exactly what that question is right there and where it's leading to. And AI answers me, based on historical data and past performance, no. I found this interesting. I mean, it's because it's true. And AI does not lie about this. No fiat currency, including the US dollar or any other so far, any other fiat currency, has ever increased in buying power over the long term. That's a very powerful statement that AI has the data to confirm to some degree. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. It maybe have garbage in. But I don't think that's garbage data. I think that's absolutely correct, true data, because again, I think you could ask an economics professor, somebody, I think you could ask anyone, no fiat currency has ever increased in buying power over the long term. And that's exactly what AI answers here. And it's a response and answer you cannot get really from anywhere. I mean, you don't hear it from our economic people, you don't hear from the Fed, you don't hear from, but it's true. And AI goes on to say all fiat money ultimately goes down in buying power over time due to inflationary pressures caused by factors such as increased money supply and government policies. Perhaps one of the, just flat out, in a paragraph or so, flat out dead correct and dead honest answer here by AI, and absolutely true, money supply and government policies. It says it is also important to note that while some currencies may experience short-term fluctuations in their buying power, the overall trend for fiat currencies is a decline in value over time. Again, very powerful comment by a AI program that really doesn't have a bias in this and does have data out there available, even some of it bad, some of it good, but no less very interesting response here, to say the least. And in contrast, and again, this is almost like mirroring exactly what if I didn't know any better, I'd say that this AI is just mirroring what I'm asking it. Maybe that's what AI is. These are all answers and all things that I've discussed myself over and over with you guys for the last couple of years now. AI is saying the exact same thing. It's confirming what we all know, all right? And why is that? Well, because it's true. I'm sure it's true. In contrast, assets like gold and other precious metals have historically held their value and even increased in value over the long term, making them popular options for wealth preservations. I did not ask AI about gold, other assets like gold, which is even more interesting. I was just asking it about fiat currency. Has any fiat currency gone up over time in any long-term or medium-term situation? And AI said no. Then AI says, if you want to do that, buy gold. Wow, pretty powerful if you ask me. So I asked, like AI is a real person. So you like gold as a dollar hedge, or your data does, should I say? And I was kind of curious if it got what I was saying there. Blah, blah, blah. As an AI, I don't have personal opinion, blah, blah, blah. But based on historical data and economic analysis, gold has been considered a popular hedge against inflation and store value for centuries. It has been used as a medium of exchange and reliable form of currency through history. Scarcity and unique physical processes make it a valuable asset. However, as with any investment, there it goes. There's the caveat that it throws in there to make sure that the people that wrote this don't make you think that it's giving you investment advice. And that's exactly why you see that right. This is almost in every investment question I ask, this highlight. But look what it says above it. It's confirming what we've talked about for 5,000 years. And again, Tier 1 asset, central banks own it. What do central banks encourage commercial banks? What do they encourage the people out there to buy? They encourage the people to buy their fake paper bullshit assets, all right, that don't last over time. You can't stuff a dollar bill under a mattress and expect it to buy the same next year. And under this administration, that's for sure, you can't expect anything that you stuff under a mattress to be the same next year for sure. Everything's going up from here, folks. But let me continue on because, again, I get sidetracked easily. I asked AI, say, if I ask you to create a fictitious human character, an American whose habits and opinions are based on national average data available to you for fun, could you play this role? Question mark. And what would you like the character's name to be? I'm kind of having some fun here, perhaps assuming that this thing can do more than what I was asking for, and it answers me as an AI language. I can generate text based on data, but I can and not capable of creating a fictitious human character with personal habits and opinions. However, I can generate a random name for a character if you like. How about Maxwell Johnson? I should have used that name when I was asking again. So I asked, so create me a character based on the data and statistics. I thought that was a pretty simple answer to ask. Basically, just create me a statistical and data-based average, all right? I think that was easy for AI to understand. Sure, let me create a character for you based on the available data and statistics. Let's call our character John. I love this. I mean, actually, it's doing exactly what I asked it to do. All right, so finally we get around, you got to be specific and you got to kind of ask this AI program questions and get around what you know its limitations are, all right? So it finally gets to me and it creates this character. John is based on his statistics, all right, and data, which I think is going to be as accurate as any of us can get, all right? John is a 35-year-old male living in the United States. He's married with 2 children, has a college degree. John works as a middle manager in a large corporation and earns an average salary for his position. He owns a home and a car and also has a retirement account and some savings. Now, this may be garbage in, garbage out. This may be what Wiki says about or some other define, but it may be somewhat true. It may be in the middle there somewhere. In his free time, John enjoys watching sports and spending time with his family. All right. He also enjoys traveling, especially to warm and sunny destinations. All right, well, I'm starting to believe this character more. He is a health conscious and tries to exercise regularly and eat healthy foods. Politically, John is moderate and does not. This is interesting. That AI tells me that this average guy right here, American, is moderate and does not strongly identify with any particular party. I find this very interesting. Average Joe, average John. He is concerned about the economy and the country's future. I think that's very astute by this AI program. But he's also optimistic that things will eventually get better. I like that. I mean, I'm optimist. I think we all are optimists out there. We hope things get better. But we're realists as well. But meanwhile, let me move along. Overall, John is a representative of the average American in many ways, with a middle-class lifestyle, focus on family, and desire for financial stability and security. I love this character that AI built for me as well. Again, I ask myself sometimes, is this thing just mirroring what I want it to say? Perhaps it is, but I've goaded it into answering these questions, so perhaps that's it, but I'm not sure. But I like the average John here, or the average Joe, we'll call it. And so I ask, what does John's assets look like? All right. And AI answers, and again, I really enjoy this. It's based on a large amount of data available to all of us out there. And AI answers to me, based on the available data and statistics, John's assets could vary depending on his age, income, and other factors. We know that. However, assuming he's a typical American with an average income and typical spending habits, his assets could include, and it really narrows it down here, a primary residence with a mortgage, a car with a loan, a retirement savings such as a 401k or IRA, savings in a bank account or a money market fund, some investments such as stocks or bonds, credit card debts or other type debts, all right, other type debts. Of course, these are just general assumptions based on available data and may not accurately reflect John's actual financial situation. But you know what? I got to give it some damn good creds there, because that sounds entirely plausible to me, to the average American, if you really kind of balance everything out. I like the answers that I'm getting here. Again, garbage in, garbage out. It's the same data information that if you and I went out and searched for, it would take us forever to answer these questions that AI is giving us. AI can do it in nanoseconds. It would take us hours to do it. AI can do it in nanoseconds, but same data. All right, so I'm asking, would John own gold, assuming he's an average American? Now, this is a great answer. Again, Based on the available data on the ownership of gold by Americans, it is likely that John may not own gold or only own a small amount of it. Folks, this is something I've been telling you for a long time. You know, there's a community of gold and silver people out there that you listen to videos and stuff like this, but we are a very, very small community, all right? And let's see what they say here. According to Gallup poll conducted in 2021, only 14% of Americans own gold in some form, such as coins or jewelry. And I'm betting that a vast amount of that 14% is jewelry, not coins, all right? I am betting that more than likely, probably 13% of that's jewelry and 1%, if at best, is coins, okay? But that's a speculative on my part. I should have asked the AI that question. However, this may vary based on John's personal financial goals and beliefs. If John values gold as a form of wealth preservation, he may have chosen to invest in it despite the national average. Wow. Kind of interesting, too, it says that as well. I mean, I was just shocked by the responses that I got back here. What other assets is John likely to own mostly? And again, that kind of gets into a question I asked already here. It talks about savings account, checkings account, cars, consumer debt, credit debt. But anyway, I was a little bit repetitive there. I do apologize for that. And I ask again, AI, with an excellent track record of wealth preservation, why would the average American like John not own some gold in the portfolio as a hedge against a falling dollar? Question mark. Why do you think Americans are ignorant about the owner's benefit, or the benefit of owning gold, is what I meant to say there. AI understood my little faux pas there and says there could be several reasons why the average American may not own gold in their portfolio. First, there may be a lack of awareness, absolutely true, nailed it on that, or education about the benefits of gold as a hedge against a falling dollar. A lot of folks get into gold, think about it as an investment that pays dividends, or an investment that, well, I'm going to get rich quick on, but no, it's really a hedge, folks. You know, we've been talking about that for 3 years. You know, if you're here to get rich quick, get out of it. Find something else. Find a multi-level marketing program to get into. But if you're here for wealth preservation, that's what gold is for. All right, I digress there. Gold is often viewed as a traditional investment, and some people may not be aware of its value in diversifying a portfolio or preserving wealth over a long time. And I'll tell you why that is, because most people that put together wealth portfolios do not talk about gold. Most of them do not, especially owning physical gold. They'll throw you into some ETF or some kind of fund out there, but no, they don't talk about physical gold. AI says here, secondly, gold can be expensive to purchase and store, which may discourage some investors from including it in portfolios. Absolutely true. Not expensive to store. I'm going to get into that in a moment. I'm going to show you a cool picture. So that's not a big deal if you're storing it yourself, which is really the smart way to do it. And you can store, I'm going to show you in a minute. I can show you how much. I can show you, you can store $1 million worth of gold in such a small, tight, tiny space. And I'm going to, again, show you a picture I took to show you how tiny a space you can stick $1 million worth of gold in. But anyway, additionally, buying gold requires a level of trust in the seller. As in case you kind of forget, absolutely true as well. That's why I always tell you guys to buy. Don't buy from a brother-in-law. Don't buy from a grandma, because grandma may have got ripped off and thinks she's selling you something good as well. Buy from people that know what they're looking at. And finally, some investors may simply prefer other investments. That's true as well. And again, this is their little caveat. I'm not going to read that. I asked it, in a total banking, economic, and dollar collapse, how would gold perform based on past historical events of the collapse of empires, commerce, and fiat money? And AI answers me again. Again, great responses here. It would almost like me asking myself questions, I know, but this thing is so much faster and the data comes out so much better and faster than what I could provide. AI says, in the event of a total banking, economic, and dollar collapse, gold has historically performed well as a safe haven asset and store of value. During times of extreme economic turmoil, investors and individuals tend to seek out assets that can preserve their wealth, blah, blah, blah. Okay. For example, during the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, the ruble became worthless, and people turned to bartering and using gold as a medium of exchange. Similarly, during the hyperinflation in Germany in the 1920s, people used gold and other hard assets to preserve their purchasing power. Again, folks, it's all about preserving your wealth. However, it's important to note that the performance of gold in a collapse scenario depends on various factors. Again, that is kind of the caveat response that it gives you there. I hope you enjoyed that, because I thought that was a really cool little session that I had with the AI there, and some questions I wanted to ask. And perhaps I'll delve more into that. And you're asking yourself, what am I looking at? Well, folks, you're just looking at one of the orders that we've fulfilled here. And we fulfill a lot of orders. Again, I'm going to give you my little advertising spiel. Commercial rare coins and precious metals since 1995. Been in this location. Been doing this since 1977. Here in Lauderdale by the Sea. Again, been in this location since 1995. If you're looking to buy any kind of gold, silver, and platinum, anywhere from $1's worth to millions of dollars worth, I can beat the locals prices here in South Florida. So again, if you live in South Florida, we're people to come to. We're open 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays. I'll give you the details at the end, how to reach us, our hours, and that other stuff. Again, as far as if you don't live in South Florida, unfortunately, I can only ship in quantities of 100 ounces of gold or more, or 1,500 ounces or more in silver. We do only wires. We're not an online service when it comes to that, but we do the traditional telephone and wire and secured delivery like the old days. Well, anyways, got into that. I'll give you my address at the end here. Folks, this is what over $750,000 worth of gold looks like. And look, that is mostly space and plastic, all right? You're probably wondering how high those bars are. I suspect those cards right there, that box is maybe 3.5, 4 inches tall. So overall, let's say even 4, 8, there's 16, well anyway, 16 inches tall. And most of that is just space right there. Take a look at that. I believe that's about, what is that, 16 ounces. That's about 16 ounces right there of gold. And 16 ounces of gold is what? Almost $32,000, $31,000 or so. So just sitting on top of there is $31,000 in gold. Folks, I could fit that in my front pocket, all right? $31,000 worth of gold. So the old storage bullshit that you heard back in the day, oh, it's just so hard to store, not true with gold. Now, silver, a different story. But I figured I'd show you, this is what $750,000 worth of gold bars look like in their, actually more than that, in their original packaging. And again, that's mostly space, folks. You could take all these out of the boxes, and I bet you could fit all these in a stack that is maybe not that much bigger than 3 boxes right now. Again, if you were to compress that all into a small space. So it is not hard to store a large amount of gold in a small space, and it's not hard to find a good hiding place to put that stuff. And yes, my phone is still ringing. There we go. Let me shut that off. Sorry. Let's get into good deals, bad deals. Nothing has changed in premiums, folks. I still have great deals on, you shouldn't be paying more than spot plus 245 on 100 ounce bars. You shouldn't be paying more than spot plus 260 on 1 ounce bars. Not more than spot plus 275 on 10 ounce bars. Kilo bars, I have a great deal at spot plus 2.25 on some of the generic brands, and some of the better brands are spot plus 250. What is curious is 90%, which is I got on the screen, is going up in value again. I ask myself, why does 90 keep going up? Why are the 90 premiums so high? Well, I'll tell you why. The small stackers out there and the constitutional silver people have pretty much bought up a lot of it. And they ain't letting it go. They're still hanging onto it. For whatever reasons they may. And they're not making any more of it. The problem with 90%, they're not making any more. Does that mean you should rush out and buy 90 because they're not making any more of it and the premiums are high and it's going to be rare? No, it doesn't mean that. Don't buy 90, folks. But what I am thinking is it's very possible that we could see 90% premiums on the bid and ask get up to where Silver Eagles are, or close to it at some point. Silver Eagles, the thing with Silver Eagles, why the supply is tight out there, they still produce them. They don't produce this stuff anymore. Again, this is not advocating for you to buy this stuff, folks. I'm just saying the reason for the higher premiums is because they don't make it anymore. Folks aren't letting it go. Doesn't mean you should buy it, and it certainly doesn't mean you should pay the stupid premiums they're getting for it right now. Meanwhile, again, best deals out there, 100 ounce bars, kilo bars. What's the worst deals out there? Silver Eagles. Stay away from them, man. I love the product. They're just overpriced. When it comes to gold, gold bars are still the best deal. Gold Eagles are still reasonably priced. A little bit up. I think the premiums are up maybe like $5 on gold eagles, and the same thing with maple leafs and some of the other products out there. Gold premiums are up a tiny bit, which again, folks, if things start heating up again, I suspect that the not only the gold and silver prices are going to move up, but the premiums are going to move up as well. All right, I've done so many things on the premiums in the last 2 weeks. If you want to know more about them, not a lot of stuff has changed except what I just told you has changed in price. And I'm going to call it quits on this video by ending with answering a few, or actually just acknowledging all you great commenters and all you folks out there that watch my videos. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and that little bell up there. I appreciate it. This is a business venture for me. I don't really make money, and I wouldn't care to make money being a big YouTube star. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to advertise and educate. I figure if I educate, it's a great way to advertise, and it'll create loyalty between me and yourself as a consumer of gold and silver products and platinum products. And we do other things as well. Let me see if I can answer some questions. Again, I'd like to thank everybody here that you see for commenting here. Harris Tiller, yeah. John Stewart, yeah, I can't stand Lindsey Graham, actually. Castles made a sand. Hey, dude, what's going on? Not too many questions here. Please comment on rhodium, platinum group metals. Kevin, I just don't know enough to quote. If I did, I don't actually. Why I can't quote on rhodium and platinum groups. I know very little bit about it, but I do know that the price discovery on rhodium, platinum, and other metals is made in the COMEX markets, the CRIMEX markets. So, you know, I would think that the platinum and the palladium market is even smaller than the silver market. And if that's the case, I'm sure the palladium and platinum markets are as monkey hammered as any other market out there. And what's up, Silverliner? How you doing, man? Higher than 50 wouldn't be bank collapses. Yeah, I know we might be there already. Oh, hold on, I was going down, wasn't I? Let's see here. 35 minutes sitting on the beach. Awesome, dude. $50 of tops is silver. Any fool knows not to buy 10-year bonds at various terms if you need to liquidate. Ooh, a technical guy out there, Donald. Thanks for commenting. And I think that's it, folks. I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to be out of town for a couple days. I don't think I'm going to do a video. If I do, I'd like to, but it just doesn't seem likely with the internet connection and by schedule. But meanwhile, thanks for watching again. You can catch me here on Twitter. By the way, even though I may not be making videos this week, I will watch my Twitter account. I hope. As long as I'm logged into it, I got to make sure I bring the right computer. But meanwhile, I'm up to 38 people actually following me here. Woo, 39. Lucky me. But you can ask me questions out here. I will answer them. And I think you can also, if you ever not find me on this particular forum right here, on YouTube, you can definitely probably find me here. So with all my 33 followers here, not a lot of followers out here, I kind of feel sorry for that. I do like this platform too. I just don't understand it. But again, I guess I do. You know, the biggest and the baddest out there is this particular company I'm on right now, and that's just the facts of life. But again, if you don't find me here, you can find me there. That's it, folks. This is Brian Kuzma with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Thank you all. Really appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you this week. Bye now.